Hello, this is my 2010 Saab 95 Aero, and it has an oil leak coming from the rear of the engine. It's not the power steering fluid reservoir. That's my first thought. It's not that. And it looks to be the valve cover gasket that's leaking, which I don't know how common it is. I haven't had any 2.8s leak from the valve cover gasket, but it's my only guess on this thing. I'm not sure what else would be leaking from back there. So we're gonna pull everything off and at least get that changed over, change the gaskets on that. And we'll probably change the front valve cover gasket as well, just because since I have everything off, might as well just do it as well. So first off, take this pipe off, and you want to take off your intake manifold, which is held on by I believe they're 13 millimeters, but I'll check on that. So we'll get started. And here are the new gaskets. And I actually got them for a Chevy Traverse because they're the same thing with 3.6 liter motor, exact same gasket, so, and they're cheaper. So I got them for that, and we'll get started. Okay, so first off, I loosened this clamp. You want to loosen this one right here too, pull this off, but I'm going to try to leave it on together because I don't want to risk cracking my plastic, because I already did, so I had to glue it. There's a 10 millimeter right here you want to take out, and then your 210s for your reservoir. And so that's all off. Next, these are 13s. There's 6 of them. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna take those off, and I'm gonna see if I could take this and this off all together, but if not, then I'll end up removing this. So we'll do that next. So we got those off, should lift up. So next we're gonna have to start removing the stuff, the vacuum lines, and disconnect this two clamps for the coolant to go through. So we'll disconnect those next, so we don't have to remove the 3 10 millimeter bolts that hold it down. Okay, so disconnected these two hose clamps over here. I did lose a couple drops of coolant, nothing to be worried about. Now you want to remove this tag. Just don't drop it. Set that there. And then, you know, you could leave that on and just disconnect everything, but I'm gonna just unhook it just so it's easier and out of the way. Let me show you. So this 10 here, that 10, set that there, and then this one's right here. Next, that's out of the way. Oh, I also want to take this off. Just a bracket. Okay, so next, unhook this line. Just push this white tab in. Okay, that's off. Then you got a 10 millimeter right there that holds those vacuum lines on. So we'll get that off real quick. Want to grab a short socket and a 10 millimeter, or not, a 10 millimeter socket, a shorty, and then your 1/4 inch ratchet. You probably have room without it, but oops, I'm tighten. Loosen it, spin it out with your fingers. Next, that should all be off. what you're gonna wanna do now is disconnect your throttle body. It's honestly kind of a pain, so just this plug right here. Just reach your finger in there and plug it, but it's kind of hard to get to, so let me do that real quick. Okay, so we got that unplugged. This out of the boot. This is probably not the best way to do it, but now you want to pull these vacuum lines out back here of the intake manifold. Okay, there those are. That should be it. Yes. Set that down. One part done. Next part to go. So unfortunately, you gotta take off this bottom. There's a lot of oil in there, but you gotta take off this lower intake, the runners, I guess is what you call them. And so we'll do that next, and they're just held on by 10s, and it will also pull out the injector. So we'll do that real quick. Okay, so there's a bolt down right there, 13 millimeter, and there should be, I believe actually there's just two, one in each corner. So I got those out, and now we need to disconnect this fuel line right here. To do that, I'm using one of these. You stick it in. Let's see, this is probably too big a one, so let me grab the right size. Okay, so what you do is you push this on. I just got these at Harbor Freight, by the way, they're like super cheap. But you push it around. Hold on, I'm gonna have to set the camera down. Okay, so you squeeze it on over it like that. You can see, and you want to push it in like so. Hopefully nothing gets in the way. See if I can set the camera up to see it. Okay, sorry, I didn't record that. It was a pain. Actually, it wasn't that bad. So I got the fill line off, used that tool, pull off the fuel injectors. I couldn't get it unplugged because the connector was brittle. I didn't want to break it. So I just slid them off to the side right there. I pulled the lower intake manifold cover off, and yeah, it's gonna be very careful not to get anything down the cylinders, because that is bad. So I plugged them with paper towels, but I found the issue. I found the oil leak, so it's hard to tell, but there is oil coming out of right there. I don't think it's going down the cylinder, it's hard to say, but yeah, there's the oil right there. And I don't know if they're all doing it or not, but for sure that one, because I can see the oil. The fronts I haven't got to yet, but we're just gonna do them both while I'm here. So since all this is still in the way, but kind of out of the way, next we are going to start pulling these 10s off. We still gotta deal with this wiring harness and get that out of the way, but we are slowly getting there. It's actually not that hard of a job. It is kind of a pain because there's not a lot of room and a lot of stuff, but it's not too bad. It's just they're gonna have to work around this and be careful with these brake lines. I've already found 2 cracks in the brake lines, which of course there is, because that's how it goes. So yeah, we're just gonna try to keep moving things out of the way as we go. And like this, like we could unplug that pretty easily. Get that out of the way. But yep, that's the update. I was gonna try to do this as a how-to, but it's kind of hard to do when I'm not sure what I'm doing. But yeah, it's not too bad. It's not the worst I've done. So we're gonna get this harness out of the way and get that rear valve cover off next. Okay, so I took off, all the 10 millimeters around it. Pretty easy. You just leave them in, and then I lifted everything up and pulled it off. Just be careful. You want you don't want this stuff to get dirty, and so try your best not to get anything down there. I definitely do an oil change after. If you do this job, make sure you do an oil change. But honestly, that is pretty bad, it looks like to me. Like, it just looks dirty. Like, the oil changes weren't kept up on this thing. But the nice thing is the timing chain is really tight. So, doesn't look like this side is due for timing change by any means. Still gotta check the front side. But, yeah, this side is looking good. So, that's good on the timing chain part. But, yeah, oil changes were not in its life. But you can just see how dirty this thing is. I'm gonna get it all nice and cleaned up and fixed. But yeah, it's pretty filthy. So, yeah, oil change was not part of its routine, it looks like. Or, I don't know, it could have another issue, but yeah, that's what it looks like to me. So we are going to replace this gasket, clean this up, and throw it back on. Okay, sorry I didn't record that. But yeah, there's that old gasket. New gasket is blue and it's in. Replace the gaskets where the coil packs go. And it was kind of tough. My dad helped me lift up the wires and everything to get it out. So that was nice. But it's not hard to remove. It's just there's a lot of stuff in the way. But the timing chains are tight. We got it all back together. Got the hoses on. Now I'll have to start putting on the lower intake manifold, the fuel injectors. And then we should be close to being done. So I'm gonna get that on real quick and then I will check back with you guys. Okay, so now that we have the lower intake manifold gasket on and the lower intake manifold, sorry about that, let's throw on our upper intake manifold gaskets. Make sure they're clean. We should replace this stuff if you haven't. I actually just did the spark plugs in this and replace these, so they're not gonna get replaced. Make sure you hook up your fuel line, and now we'll set on the top intake manifold. And that is how you do it. Not that hard. It's a little time consuming. Took me probably 2 hours. But hey, it's done. And I'm gonna do the front side eventually, but I wanna start with the back. And see, well, I should've just done it all at once, but I'm kinda lazy. But that is all done. Just double check just go through your checklist to make sure you got everything. Yes, I didn't put this back in because I lost it. I have another one, so I'll find it. I'll find one, throw it in there real quick. But just make sure you get all your checklists done and everything's all good to go. But yeah, thanks for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next video where we're going to replace that strut. Already did this side, totally cured the issue. Now we're going to do that side. So thanks for watching and I'll see you guys later.